here I sit. I have a pile of books that I finally have the time to read. I have a cup of coffee that I finally have the time to drink. And I have a plant that I finally have the time to fertilize, take care of, and water. Why? Because I'm an empty nester. And guess what? The empty nest can suck, but it doesn't have to. I'm Iris Ruth Pastor. I'm an aging baby boomer, and I write a column entitled Incidentally Iris. Years ago, I wrote a Mother's Day column about my mom, who is in the throes of adjusting to the back seat of her car being empty, meaning no kids at home anymore. My column is as follows. I watch my mother closely. She has no buses to meet, no blue jeans to hem, no projects to oversee. Her grandchildren have parents who are fully capable of running their own lives most of the time and meeting their own children's needs most of the time. My mother now has the space to widen her horizons, to expand her boundaries, and develop skills and talents way too long ignored under the guise of being a hands-on mother and grandmother. I used to have a knot in my stomach every day around 3 p.m., my mother tells me, because I knew in minutes you kids would come bursting through the door, home from school, breaking the peaceful solitude of my day. Now, she says, I have a pit in my stomach every day around 3 p.m. because I know no children are bursting through my door. They are grown and gone. I watch my mother closely. She talks of not being needed. She infers she is being shut out. And I respond as best I can, reassuring her that it is not a case of not being needed, but rather a natural pulling away that all offspring do in order to assert their independence and make their own way. She seems to be listening. She discusses plans to begin volunteering. She plays mahjong spontaneously with friends. She goes on a day's outing to a nearby city, totally on a whim. But still, she grieves. A holiday weekend comes. My brother's busy with his new family. I'm booked for an extended family outing with my husband's relatives. My sister and her brood, well, they're occupied with packing for their move to another state. And my mom and dad are alone. By 5 p.m., my husband and the kids and I are home. My kids are all wound up, so they play soccer in the backyard and they toss baseballs. I weed, my husband grills. And I realize that I'm surrounded by them and their activities, temporarily safe in a wonderful cocoon of my own weaving, unlike my mom and dad. At 7:30 p.m., the phone rings. It's hard to hear because Louie's practicing his saxophone 5 feet away and Sam and Max are fighting over the TV as usual. It's my mother, a note of jubilation in her voice. Guess where we went? She asks gleefully. I can't imagine, I reply honestly. To the zoo, she exclaims. We went to the zoo, just your father and me. And oh, what a time we had. I pause. I sigh. Tears of relief well up in my eyes. Good for her, I think silently. I don't watch my mother as closely now. She'll survive because she is learning that there is life after children. One just has to search a little harder sometimes to find it. Well, the years have passed. My mother's now a widow with all the adjustments widowhood presents. Now I am, like my mother was, an empty nester. And it's not easy. It's quiet, it's lonely, and at times it can be very isolating. But I hope I handle this situation as gracefully and as resourcefully as my mom did so many years ago. So, happy Mother's Day to all moms, but especially my cronies, the empty nester ones. We have the time to reflect on how truly blessed we are and how grateful we are for what we've got, to have raised our kids, and that now is the time for us to be on the threshold of our own new adventures. This is Iris Ruth Pastor. Keep coping and keep soaring. Happy Mother's Day.